The Organiser of Shaftesbury's Carlink service is urging Shaftesbury Town councillors to take responsibility for the volunteer and dialer ride before the service shuts permanently on the 31st of July. June Hull says older, infirm and disabled residents in Shaftesbury and the villages depend on it to reach appointments they could otherwise not manage alone. June says she'll put that case directly to town councillors at Tuesday's Assembly meeting at the Town Hall at 7.
There is nothing else. You know, the amount of people that are saying to us, you know, we really appreciate everything you've done for us, but what are we supposed to do now?
Carlink is a volunteer and dialer ride scheme that takes people to medical and personal appointments, waits for them and brings them home. June says this is a kind of practical help that's hard to replace in a rural area like ours, especially for people who can't easily get to a bus stop or use ordinary public transport if it's available.
How can you expect somebody who's in their either late 80s or 90s to walk half a mile up a lane to get to a bus stop that might run along the main road, you know, past through their village? I mean, there's even places like Enmore Green and St James's where, you know, how can you expect elderly people to walk up the hill to get to the doctors and things? But I don't know. It's a tricky one. I used to live in Weymouth, by the way, and I have to say, after living up here, I do feel Shaftesbury or North Dorset is a bit like the poor relation. And I could go out in Weymouth on a Friday evening and get a bus home at midnight.
And June tells Alfred there's one group that'll be hit especially hard if Carlink closes on the 31st of July. The area will lose its only wheelchair-accessible transport provider, leaving some disabled residents with very few workable options for getting to hospital or even the Abbeyview Medical Centre.
Of course, at the moment, we are the only providers of wheelchair-accessible transport in the area. So anybody who does need wheelchair, transport is going to really struggle. I mean, the NHS patient transport should take people in wheelchairs to and from hospitals. Saying that, we've had phone calls at 6:30 on a Friday night saying, please, can you help me? Because I'm stranded at Salisbury Hospital. The patient transport hasn't turned up to pick me up. So it is going to have a big impact on people who do require to get around in their wheelchairs. And we take them, and there is patient transport will take them to Salisbury, but not to local surgeries. So again, there's people at Ludwell who are disabled who we have to bring to the surgery. The nearest one for them is, well, for anybody here, is going to be Warminster, Blandford or Salisbury.
June's approached the GP practice in Shaftesbury to see if they can help.
With a suggestion that they may like to apply for lottery funding so that they could employ somebody to actually run it. But they said they don't feel they want that level of responsibility. We've tried Salisbury District Hospital. They've actually said, well, they outsource all of their transport, so they're not interested, basically, is the wording that came back. And you just wonder how sort of 2,500 people potentially are going to get to their medical appointment.
June says locals rely on Carlink in a much wider area than people might expect across the SP7 postcode area. And because of that scale, she believes a local solution might need several parish councils to work together rather than expecting Shaftesbury Town Council or one authority to carry the whole operation.
The majority are in the SP7 area, yes. So that is Shaftesbury Town, but it's also all the villages around it. It's Fontmell and Donhead and Berwick and, Stour and all those areas, Stour Row, Bedchester, Guy's Marsh. It's all those areas that are in the SP7 area. So it's actually, I think we had a look, and it's about 30 square miles, the total of the SP7 area. We do also help a few people who are on the perimeter, at Semley, East Noyle, because they don't have anything. But then I would think the only solution would be for all of the parish councils to chip in, and Shaftesbury Town Council to chip in and actually have a fund. And maybe they could run something on, just say, the phone, somebody coordinating it 3 days a week, or just doing from 9:30 till 12:30 every day. That is a possibility, I guess. But, they're the conversations they're going to have between themselves.
Several town and parish councils around the country have stepped in to save similar services. Nearest to us, Lyme Regis Town Council saved the town bus when Dorset Council withdrew funding and recruited volunteer drivers, launching Link, which by last November was fully funded by the town council. It's not exactly the same because it's not a door-to-door service, but in Daventry in the Midlands, the town council there has backed its own dial-a-ride, similar to Carlink, including home-to-town transport for older residents and a separate car scheme for appointments. For the first time 2 years ago, with the support of Town Councillor Elaine Barrett, who recognised Carlink's plight, the Town Council gave a small operational grant to Carlink. Money awarded for this year has been returned because June said they didn't need it and others could benefit from it instead.
Yes, the money was helpful. This year we declined it because we were left a legacy, which we were able to use instead. So we said we'd like to hand that money back so that they can use that, for some of the other needy services in the area.
June says it's not about the money, it's about management, and she thinks that's why the Town Council would be the best body to take on the town-focused community service.
Gillingham Town Council have been extremely supportive to us. We've had lots of kind words from them. The mayor last year, Roger Weeks, has literally said, "Take my hat off to you guys. You've been absolutely amazing." The current mayor, Fiona, she's absolutely by our side. They can't do anything because they're Gillingham, but their words of support have meant an awful lot to us.
Has there been word from the town hall in Shaftesbury since you announced that you were potentially folding?
Unfortunately, no.
So June says that leaves Tuesday's public meeting as her next chance to put the issue in front of town councillors and residents together.
I think that we'll turn up, and also I would suggest to anybody who uses our service or thinks they may need to use our service at any time in the future that they attend as well. The more people are there, the more muscle, the more chance there is that there's a resolution.
For June and Martin, this isn't only a public issue, it's deeply personal because after years of unpaid work, constant calls and responsibility for other people's essential journeys, June says the pair are worn out and need to reclaim some space for their own family life.
It's not something we've taken lightly, and we do feel that we're letting people down, but we have literally put our lives on hold for almost 8 years. And we're exhausted. Martin's son, who's got Down syndrome and autism, although he's getting older, he's getting more and more needy. So we have that to deal with as well. And it would be nice for us to be able to commit our time solely to him rather than trying to spread ourselves so thinly across so many people.
Nobody, June, will be in any doubt about the amount of commitment, time and effort you've put into this project, even your own personal money, to support this not-for-profit venture. And I know you're looking forward to having time off when you don't have to set the alarm clock, but after 8 years, is any part of you going to be sad to see it go?
Of course we're going to be sad. It is going to take it. The lady that we work with at Dorset Volunteer Centre, Michelle, she said, you will find that you go through a period almost of grieving. And we have worked hard on it. We've made it what it is. We've given it our all. And yes, there's a big part of us that will be very, very sad. But there's going to be another part of us that knows that we can go away for 2 weeks and not have to worry and be inundated. You've phoned us once before when we just had a week off and we ended up with over 80 telephone calls on the first day we came back. We had 3 days off last month. We came back with 19 voicemails and 3 of them with somebody screaming down the phone at us saying it's disgusting and we should be there to answer the phone. Part of me that is, I need to step back. I need to get some of my own headspace sorted out.
Back to Tuesday's Town Council meeting, and June says she's exhausted all other avenues. She's tried getting her plight featured in a national magazine for the community transport sector in the hope that somebody would step up or at least offer advice. And she's spoken with other voluntary organisations and facilitators to see what can be done to save the service.
We've tried nationally. We've tried with Dorset Council. We've tried with Dorset Volunteer Centre. We have just been round, well, in the last 3 weeks, I think most of our users have received letters. We had a meeting at Motcombe Village Hall with Dorset Volunteer Centre, and it's a networking meeting. And the lady that was there from Father's House, she was actually unaware of the situation. And she said she was going to talk to some of their members. But I've also emailed some of the parish councils and advised them to ask them if maybe, they want to consider setting up a more local scheme for each parish. But I haven't had any response, unfortunately.
What matters to her now is whether anybody steps in before this valuable lifeline disappears, potentially forever.
We've got, some big birthdays, etc., coming up. We finish on the 31st of July.